students. So today in this lecture we are going to discuss about the transaction schedule or the history of transaction execution. Now what is a transaction schedule? See, we are basically talking about some huge multi-user databases. Now a transaction schedule is a schedule or say execution of the operations within the transactions for large number of transactions which are concurrently submitted to that particular database. That is, there may be T1 transaction, there may be another T2 transaction, T3 transaction, that way up to Tn transaction. N can be any value. So this large number of transactions which are concurrently executing for a particular multi-user database, they forms one particular schedule. So definitely the operations within those transactions must be interleaved when they execute concurrently. But what a transaction here means is that the order of operations that appear within the transaction, suppose T1, as you can see here, suppose T1 should be same of the order of operations that is found in the schedule. So schedule is basically nothing but history of execution of transactions, concurrent execution transactions, okay, and they are basically nothing but interleave operations of the different transactions which are concurrently executed. Now let's look into what is a recoverable schedule. A recoverable schedule is basically a schedule where there is no transaction that needs to be rolled back. That is, we don't have to roll back any of the transactions. And also a schedule as is recoverable if the transaction T has reached some database data item and it has written some data item, and T dash, which is basically reading the data item which is written by the earlier transaction T, will basically read that particular data item only when T is committed. That means only when the changes done by the earlier transaction T is confirmed, then only a particular later transaction which basically reads that particular data item changed by T will be allowed to read only when T commits. That means it finalizes its change. Okay, so then only that kind of schedule where this particular protocol is followed is a recoverable schedule. Another type of schedule which we can say is a cascadeless schedule. Now, what is a cascadeless schedule? Where every transaction is allowed to read only the items that are written by committed transactions. It is just a extension of the earlier part, you can see. That is, every transaction is allowed to read items that are being written by committed transactions. Okay, so since we know that what is a what the cascade means, that is when the changes becomes one after the another. Suppose if a particular transaction has to be rolled back, then another transaction which has read the value written by the earlier transaction has also to be rolled back. So when this kind of serial effect of the changes occurs, we say it is the cascaded rollback. So when we say cascadeless schedule means where we don't have such rollback operations. So it is basically cascadeless schedule means where we don't have to do all those rollback operations, and this is where we follow a very in cascadeless schedule actually a very safe path is followed, where only transaction read the data items only from the committed transaction. If the transaction is not committed, that the data items won't be read by the other transactions which are waiting for. So we say a particular schedule may require the cascaded rollback when there are some transactions which reach the items which are basically written by the failed transaction. So once it happens, the transactions which have read the items from the items which are written by a failed transaction must be rollback. This is obvious because it will just lead to the error, because the error that we have discussed earlier. That is, if a transaction reach an item which is written by a failed transactions, then obviously the error results are going to be erroneous. A very particular kind of schedule is called as the strict schedule, when it is just a stricter version of the earlier cascade schedule that we have discussed. That is, where a transaction is not allowed to read or write an item X until the last transaction that wrote X has committed. That means a transaction is not allowed to neither read or write an item X until and unless the last transaction which has wrote that item X has committed. Okay. If this protocol is followed, then such schedules are called as the strict schedules. A schedule can also be called as a serial schedule when the transactions in the schedule appear in such a way that all the operations of the transactions are executed first sequentially, then another transaction gets executed. So in a serial fashion it executes, and so the name serial comes there. That is, the transactions which are participating within the schedule are executed one after the another. Obviously, the serial schedules are correct because all the operations are executed simultaneously, one after the another, sequentially one after another. But this is not a very practical approach, and when there are simultaneous or concurrent execution of the transactions, the operations within the transactions are bound to interleave. So a serial schedule is just from correctness point of view, serial schedules are good, but from the efficiency point of view, serial schedules are not efficient, and they are basically because there is no interleaving of the operations. So if a serial schedule is not serial, then we call it non-serial schedule, because in the non-serial schedule we have the interleaving of the operations. Okay. So the simultaneous or concurrent execution of the transactions are bound to be interleaved one. Now here comes the term serializable schedule. Now what is serializable? When a particular schedule is said to be serializable if it is equivalent to some serial schedule. So we will basically discuss now the equivalent concept. There are two kind of equivalence that we will discuss. One is the conflict equivalence, another is the view equivalence. Okay. So why this serializability is required, this serializable schedule? Because we know that serial schedules are bound to be correct. So serializable schedules have advantages of both, that is interleaving, because it is not actually serial, it is a non-serial schedule, and also in a serializable schedule will produce the correct results. Okay. So both advantages we get by making a non-serial schedule serializable. Two schedules are said to be equivalent if they produce, if they are called as the result equivalent if they produce the same final state of the database. So basically here actually when we are considering the equivalence of the schedules, we must we must take into this point, that is they are result equivalent. That means they produce the same final state of the database. Now coming to the conflict equivalence. Two schedules are said to be conflict equivalent if the order of any two conflicting operations in both the schedules are same. Okay. Now what are conflicting operations? You see the two conflicting operations that we have written. Two operations can conflict if one of the two operations are a write operation. Okay. One has to be a write operation, and that write operation must be on the same data item. and this these two write operations must be issued by two different transactions. So if these three condition matches, then the operations are conflicting. So one read operation and one read operation, one write operation can conflict, provided that they have the same data item and they are being executed by two different transactions. Similarly, if a read write, write read, or write write can conflict, read read cannot conflict. Okay. Now conflict serializable. A schedule S is said to be conflict serializable if it is conflict equivalent to a serial schedule. That means for a non-serial schedule is said to be conflict equivalent if the conflicting operations in the non-serial schedule is conflict equivalent to a serial schedule. If that happens, then we have advantages in the non-serial schedule of both interleaving of the operations as well as correctness. Being serializable is not the same as being serial. Okay, being serializable is little different from being serial. Now, being serializable implies that the schedule is a correct schedule. It is a correct schedule because it will leave the database in a consistent state. Because the database, the serial schedule always leaves a database in a consistent state. So serializable schedule is also bound to leave the database in a consistent state. Now interleaving is appropriate and will result the state in a state as if the transactions were serially executed. So though there is interleaving in the non-serial schedule, it will result in a state as if the transaction actually executed in a serial fashion. That means it is going to give the efficiency due to concurrent execution, which was not there actually in the serial schedule. So serializable, as I told you already, have both the advantages. One is the correctness, always give a consistent state, and another is that it becomes as efficient as a non-serial schedule. That is because of the interleaving of the operations. Because the concurrently executing transaction has to interleave, otherwise efficiency will not come. Because one transaction has to wait till other transaction completes in case of the serial schedule, which leads to the inefficiency. So efficiency can be achieved only through interleaving of the operations, which you get through the serializable schedules. Now, to come up with the practical approach of ensuring the serializability of the schedule, basically it's very hard to actually achieve in practical approach. So because why? Because in large multi-user databases, the transactions are continuously being submitted. So to ensure serializability, we consider the practical approach is to consider only the committed part of the transactions, only those transactions which have committed, and which is actually we can say the committed projection of the schedule. That is, only those transactions which have committed will be considered to check for serializability. Now, current approach used in most DBMS to check for serializability is basically use of locks with two-phase locking. We will come into this. What is the use of lock with two-phase locking? So these are the current approaches which are used to ensure the serializability of the schedules in the DBMS software. Another approach of the serializability, to get serializability, is achieved through view equivalence. What we discussed earlier was the conflict equivalence. Now there is another approach to ensure serializability is view equivalence. It is basically a less restrictive way of checking the equivalence of schedules. Now, view serializability basically is based, as I told you, is based on view equivalence. That means a schedule is view serializable only if a non-serial schedule is view equivalent to a serial schedule. Now, two schedules are said to be view equivalent if the following three conditions hold. The first is that the same set of transactions participate in the schedules as and as this. Okay. As and as this include the same operations of those transactions, because we are checking for the serializability through view equivalence. So basically, to hold the view equivalence of the two schedules, one of these can be a serial schedule, but then for any two schedules can be said to be a view equivalent for those if the transactions in the both the schedules are same, that is the operations within the both the schedules must be the same operations, okay, and same set of transactions must execute in both the schedules. The second condition, for any operation, that is the read operation, here R means the read, I means the ith transaction. If a transaction I, Ti, has performed a read operation on X, it is the data item X, in the schedule S, if the value of X read by the operation has been written by another operation J, that is the Tj, which has actually written that particular item X, okay, then the same condition must hold for the value of X read by the operation Rix of Ti in S dash. So you see the two schedules here, S and S dash. If this condition holds true, that is, any transaction Ti which is reading an item which has been written by some other transaction J, Tj, in a schedule S, then the same condition must hold for the schedule S dash. There also the transaction Ti must perform the read operation of the same data item which has been written by the transaction Tj. So this condition must be hold true for both the schedules at the same time. Similar, and the last condition is that if the operation WKY, here K is the transaction ID, that is TK transaction, if TK transaction has written in the database item Y, okay, in that particular schedule, and it is the last operation to write the item Y in S, okay, if it is the last operation to write the item, data item Y in S, then the same condition must also be the last operation in the other schedule, okay. So for all data item name, whatever the write operation being performed by a particular transaction, the same write operation has to be there as the last operation of the transaction in the other schedule also. So if these three conditions hold, then we say the two schedules S and S dash are view equivalent. Now, what's the premise behind the views equivalence is that as long as each of the read operation in both the schedules, they have the same read operation reading the result of the write operation performed by the same other transaction, then the write operation of each transaction is assumed, that is, it must produce the same result. And actually what it gets here, the main premise is that it is actually assumed that the transaction which is actually reading, using the read operation for the write operation performed by another transaction, is said to have the same view, okay. So that is where the name view equivalence comes from, okay. So in both the schedules, the transaction which is reading is getting the same view of the results performed by the write operation of another transaction. The conflict serializability is stricter than view serializability. That is, with unconstrained write operation, a schedule that is view serializable is not necessarily conflict serializable. So conflict serializability basically makes a stricter version, okay. They are the where that is the schedule which is view serializable is not necessarily conflict serializable, but any schedule which is conflict serializable is bound to be view serializable, okay. So basically conflict serializable is a stricter version, whereas it is view serializable is not that strict. So while one part is true, that is any conflict serializable schedule is bound to be view serializable, the view serializable schedule may not be conflict serializable. Now to check the relationship between the view equivalence and the conflict equivalence, let us consider three transactions here, T1, T2 and T3. Okay, and you see that transaction T1 basically writes the data item X and also writes the X. Transaction T2 only writes X and T3 also writes X. Since transaction T2 and T3 does not read, only writes, we call it blind write. Okay, they writes the items blindly without reading. Now schedule assay is something like this, which have some interleave operations here. First, the read operation is being performed, and then the transaction T2 performs a write operation because they are concurrently executing transactions. So they appear in the interleave fashion. So it performs the write operation. Then comes the W operation, W1, that is the write, that transaction T1 writes the item X, then transaction T3 writes the item X, and then the commit, which is indicated by C, is done by transaction 1, then commit by transaction 2, and then commit by transaction 3. Now you identify whether this view equivalent or the conflict equivalent. What we find is that this schedule is view equivalent but not conflict equivalent. Okay, that is, it is view serializable since it is view equivalent to a serial schedule. Now when it comes to the serial schedule, what is a serial schedule? If you take it as the serial fashion, then you get it is in the first T1 will complete, then T2 will complete, then T3 will complete. So it will be R1X will come first, then W1X, then W2X, then finally W3X. And if you just find the view equivalence of assay, schedule assay with the serial schedule, then it is a view equivalence. So it is view serializable. So it is, you can find out from this, that is the write operation should be matching. So since R1X reads the item, okay, and then W1X writes the item after reading, and then W2X. In this case, you can see the R1X reading the item, and then it is being followed by the W2X and followed by W1X and W3X. Since all the all the three transactions are ended with the write operations, okay, so it is basically view equivalent. And same thing you get here also, that is because all the three operations, the serial schedule also the write operations. Okay, so but you see the conflicting operations here. Which operations conflict here in the assay? R1X and W2X conflicts. Okay, and similarly W2X and W1X conflicts, and similarly W1X, W3X conflicts. Okay, now here you see the order of the conflicting operation, the serial schedule. When you take the serial schedule here, that is R1X followed by W1X, then followed by W2X. Now you see R1X then W1X are not conflicting because it is the same transaction which is operating. Okay, these operations belong to the same transactions. For conflicting, it must belong to the different transactions. Now W1X is followed by W2X here, but here you see W2X is followed by W1X. The order is not same, so they are not view equivalent. So it is not view serializable. Okay, not conflict serializable. Not view serializable, not conflict serializable. So this particular schedule is view serializable but not conflict serializable. It's not conflict equivalent. The conflict serializability can be found out by the precedence graph, which are drawn for the conflicting operations. So how you can find it? Basically, for the serial schedule, you can draw the this precedence graph this way for the conflicting operations. So transaction T1 and T2 is operating on the same data name item. That means the T2 is reading some value of X which is being modified by T1. Okay. So this is in case of the serial schedule A, suppose. Similarly, the precedence graph for the serial schedule B is this one. So these two are bound to be correct because they are the serial schedules. Okay. Precedence graph for the schedule C, which is non-serializable, is basically here. If the schedule C you find this way, that you find a circle of this sort, then there it is non-serializable. And the precedence graph D is the is for a serializable schedule. It is for a non-serial schedule, but it is a serializable schedule. Why it is serializable? Because the precedence graph that you obtain for this particular graph D is basically conflict equivalent to the schedule A. Okay, whereas the precedence graph that you obtain for the non-serial schedule C is not conflict equivalent to any of the serial schedules. So obviously it is not equal to any of the serial schedules here. So you find a circular fashion here, which indicates that it is non-serializable.